Okay, so I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about us and what we do, because that will make you understand why we've made the move that we've done. So we work at the severe end of mental illness. We're leading the way to a better quality of life for anyone affected by severe mental illness, and we were founded by carers back in the early 70s, people who were looking after people with schizophrenia, severe depression, personality disorders. And we support them in a number of ways. So we provide services out in the community, secure care, the whole range of what we do. And what we realized was that many of those people who are coming through our services are then supporters of us, be they campaigners, donors, they may be the carer of someone with severe mental illness. And if we think about our supporters in that way as our beneficiaries, actually that made us think very differently about how we should be contacting them. So everyone knows what's happened. I don't need to tell you all about the perfect storm that many people have referred to for the last couple of years in fundraising. I've been in post since September 2015, so I came into the organisation right at the time that the trustees were starting to say, what are we doing? How are we talking to our supporters? Are we doing it right? Are we making sure that we're looking after them and protecting them? So we had a period of time where we took lots of advice. We looked at what was going on in the sector. We looked at all of those permission statements that we already had. We were opt-out. Our database was in a complete and utter mess. We had something like 30 contact blocks, some of which contravened others. So you could say you wanted to receive something, but that you didn't want to receive something else. Our ICT team were tearing their hair out in terms of, you know, you're sending emails to 4 different groups of people within a day of each other. Nobody's talking to anyone else within the organisation. We dealt very differently and in silos, probably similarly to a lot of charities. So in reviewing everything that was going on and reviewing where we're going with GDPR, the first thing that we did was we looked to join the DMA. And have been fantastically served by their amazing advice team. And also Richard, who's here today from the ICO. We can't thank you enough, Richard, for all your advice as well. We've also introduced something called our supporter promise. Now, I know lots of charities have done this. We started from a place where we were looking at what constitutes vulnerable for us. Such a debate to be had about what you class as vulnerable. For us in particular, vulnerability is a really difficult thing to put a label on, because you may have a mental illness and that mental illness means that you're vulnerable today, but that you're not necessarily vulnerable tomorrow. So how do we ensure that we are protecting people who are vulnerable, bearing in mind that most of our beneficiaries are people who could be considered to be vulnerable? So we started by introducing a supporter promise. And this is 11 promises that we make to all of our supporters, and that's everything from going above and beyond the law. So we've gone opt-in across the board. So we are opt-in on mail, telephone, email, SMS. And I've had various conversations with people in the sector who've said they think we were stupid for doing that. We've done it because it's the right thing for our beneficiaries. Recognising that many of them will be our supporters, this is absolutely what we should be doing for them. We should be going above and beyond. We've made sure that we've made it really easy for people to opt out of some forms of fundraising, and that we consult with service users around introducing new fundraising products. So we're currently looking at the moment to introduce a raffle, but we know for some people with severe mental illness, that can be a real trigger point for their own mental illness. So we'll make it really easy for people to be able to say, I need to opt out of that, because it could be a trigger for their own health. And then we are constantly learning. So we did this in June of last year. We did it really quickly. We had a lot of help from the RNLI, who had a brilliant workshop last year that I know some people who are here today was at, looking at what they were doing and how we could take some of their lessons and turn it into lessons of our own. We've taken the decision that we think permissions last for 2 years, and we have a process for why we've worked that out. And when we looked back in June and moved to opt-in, we took 24 months as that cut-off period. So if nobody had interacted with us for 24 months, we have lapsed them. We can no longer contact those people. And that's a scary place to be. Our trustees are saying to us, well, do we know this is the right thing to do? Yes, we think this is the right thing to do for our beneficiaries. We don't know what the impact is going to be on our financial bottom line. I'm not sure anybody who's making these changes do yet. What we know is that this is absolutely the right thing to do for the people that we support. If we don't do this and we don't show to people with severe mental illness that we are protecting them at every stage, then we're doing something really wrong. Our ICT department love us. We now have a supporter newsletter that goes out every other month that all of the parts of the organisation pull into. So they get one communication about everything that the organisation is doing if they've opted into receiving it. We are now talking to each other, all the different departments. So our campaign team talk to the fundraising team, talk to the comms team and say, we're planning this, what are you guys doing? Can we do some stuff that aligns? So we're talking in all of the same voices. We're now looking at, well, okay, we know those permissions are going to last for 2 years. What do we do now to make our supporters understand what opt-in is? We're all in this room, we know what that means. But does the average Joe on the street? I'm not sure they do. So now we're doing a piece of work where we're looking to educate, to say, this is what that means. This is why that is the thing that we've done for you. This is how you can tell us if you do want to receive stuff. This is how we can make it really easy for you to not hear from us, to send us a donation, not get a thank you, whatever. We have done this because it's absolutely right for our beneficiaries and for the people that we support. And we hope that it's going to go some way to rebuilding trust.